guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming all the books I read in May, and I will just say May was a tough month for me. I had a lot of DNFs, which is really unusual. I always try to finish books that I start, but some of these just were awful. So let's get into it. I will try and be quick. I didn't count how many I read, but there's a few. So, okay, hopefully my mic will be okay. Make sure it's on. Okay, hopefully my mic will be okay for a change. Let's talk about books I didn't finish. So the first one is All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. I am not probably saying that correctly, but All the Crooked Saints. Whew. Okay, this book just did not work for me. I don't plan to try and pick this back up. Her descriptions are very, I want to say flowery, but they just didn't make any sense to me. She describes one guy as looking like a cigarette, and this book just was boring to me. I was really trying to get into it. It seems like it should have an interesting premise where there's this family and they can make miracles happen, but it was just really weird and I just couldn't get into it. Boop. Okay, so I am planning on trying to pick this one back up, Six of Crows. There's my bookmark. I want to love this book. I want to believe in the hype about this book, but there's some things I really can't get past in this, and so I just had to take a break because at one point, one of the main characters, small spoiler, takes an oyster knife and cuts out a person's eye. And like, these are people who are supposed to be on their side. It's not good, guys. Okay, hopefully I'll get back to that one. Another one I'm going to try and finish is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I just really don't like the main character in this. She's annoying and I don't like her. And I feel bad for the prince who has to put up with her and has to maybe fall in love with her. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I'm going to try and finish it though. But like I said, May was just a mess for me. So then I'll go over some other DNFs and some notes on the floor. Okay, so I'll go over now a few other DNFs and then things I read on my Kindle. So I did not finish Notes from the Underground, and that is a famous book. I'm going to try and say the author's name. I believe he's Russian, and it's about a guy who is talking about this kind of an existential crisis he has, where he is kind of talking about the nature of humanity and justifying his own existence and the sorry person that he was, and how it's just not for me. I am not the type of person who reads a lot of philosophy or, people who want to talk about why we're here, what human beings are capable of. It just doesn't interest me. Not that I'm not saying it doesn't have its purpose or its value. I just didn't like it and I didn't enjoy reading it. So when he was talking at one point about how he was going to buy a fancy hat to bump into somebody on the street, a guy that he had been, had bumped into him, and he's going to bump into him and he's going to have this fancy hat on. Yeah, this is something that happens in the book. And that guy's going to notice him and he's going to get noticed, and not for me. On my Kindle, I read Rise of Skywalker, which I have a dedicated review and a whole video talking about. You know my feelings. I'm a gigantic Reylo fan, but I just cannot apologize. Like, there's no way to make that movie okay, in my opinion. I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy the wrap-up of this trilogy, but, I think we can all agree that Ben Solo was great in that movie, and that's all I can say. Like, it did not work for me. Another book that I read that I didn't finish on my Kindle was The Stolen Songbird. It seemed like it was going to be drawn out because there's 3 books, and I just started to lag as it was getting towards the end. I just didn't care to continue. Okay, so now let's get into all the books that I actually read, not in any particular order. So I read Emily of New Moon. This is by the same author that wrote Anne of Green Gables, and it is a very similar story to Anne of Green Gables, so much so that I'm going to do a compare and contrast video on it, but I didn't like it. I thought Emily was a very interesting character, and it was interesting to see the differences between her and Anne, being that they're both orphans and have a very similar situation. So, enjoyed this one. I read The Blue Sword by Robin McKinley, and it's okay. It's like middle grade, and it was interesting enough. But I will say that the romance is very, very mild. Like, even for middle grade, this is not what I expected. It says, you know, romantic, heroic fantasy, and I would say heroic fantasy, not very much romance at all. But I thought the story was good. I'd probably give it 3.5 stars. Okay, I have a video that's talking about series I won't finish. I did read The Cruel Prince. I did not enjoy it. I didn't like Jude. I didn't like, however you say his name, Carden. I don't like the idea that none of the characters are really good. They're not even morally necessarily conflicted characters. They're just all kind of crappy, and I just couldn't enjoy this book. Ugh. Okay, Shadow and Bone, another book I finished, but do not plan to continue this series. Yeah, you know why. I hated Mal. I thought he was going to die at the end of this book, and I would have thought that was great. But he does not. So I decided to just not finish this. This is an interesting book. I didn't mind the main character. I know some people think she's pretty whiny, but I just thought, you know, she'd gone through some stuff, so it didn't bother me too much. I think her name is Alina, or yeah, Alina. And then I liked the Darkling. I thought he was a good character, but I can't get over this Mal character, and despite the very rich, you know, fantasy world that's being established, it just wasn't enough for me to continue on with characters that I just wasn't attached to, especially one that I just hated. So there you go. Caraval, another book I don't plan to continue this series, but as a standalone, in my opinion, this book is a standalone. I like this book a lot. I liked Scarlet. I liked Julian. I enjoyed the overall premise. I would read it again. I just couldn't get past Tella, who's the sister. I couldn't get past how she, spoilers, was behind everything. She was not a good character in my opinion. I didn't like her, and I thought the trope of the very selfish, impulsive sister, I didn't want to hear about her, and so when the next book is from her perspective, I just was done. But I will say this is a really, I thought, well done book and very interesting. Okay, now getting into my favorites. I've finished the Lunar Chronicles, so Cress and Winter, and these books are awesome. I have a whole video on the Lunar Chronicles because they're amazing. Definitely like a new favorite of mine. Like, I can't believe it took me so long to read those, but they're awesome books. So Cress is the Rapunzel retelling, and then Winter is the Snow White retelling. But all the books flow into each other, and so good. Such a good wrap-up. Love the series. Love every character. Just amazing, in my opinion. Okay, so the last one. Whoop. I think we're all done. Oh my gosh, has my phone been there the whole time? I'll cut that out. I think I was going to show you my ebooks, but then I didn't. So, okay. I have already read this book. This is just my bookmark in here that hasn't gotten moved to the next one. But I read A Darker Shade of Magic and actually really enjoyed this book. Lila, the girl character, or the female protagonist, she's the other character. There's Kel and Lila. Kel is a magic user of sorts, and he's awesome. He has a coat that like flips into a bunch of other coats, and I love it. I love magical fashion. I was all about Kel. I love Kel. Lila, not so much. She wasn't annoying enough for me to not continue the series, because I'm definitely going to read the whole series, but she was so stereotypically I'm not going to say the word, but she's the, how do you say badass without saying badass? You know what I mean. She's like tough and in control and strong, and she's always got a knife that she's pulling on people. It just made her unlikable, in my opinion. She's been through stuff, but it didn't seem justified for her to constantly be threatening Kel after she already knows he's good and they already kind of have a partnership. Also, she basically says she enjoys murder. She enjoyed killing somebody, the first person she killed. And we see her kill 2 other people, and it just seems like she doesn't have a conscience anymore. And I really hope there's not this romance between her and Kel, which I'm sure there will be, because I don't like her, and she didn't really grow at all. but maybe she will in the other books. But I'm still going to like continue the series because I love Kel, and I thought the world that is created in this is really interesting, and it's kind of combining like magic and kind of interdimensional time travel kind of stuff. It's just really fun. So yeah, I recommend. All right, so we ended on a high note. Those are all the books that I read in May. There were, like I said, way more DNFs than I normally have. May was a really tough month for me. I don't know if it's quarantine or just getting into from the, summer, we're entering summer, and just things kind of all ran together in my mind. But yeah, that's everything I read, and I would love to hear what you read in May. And please like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, if you had a favorite book that you read this month. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for watching.